answer questions, man.
Is it loaded?
I don't answer questions.
No questions.
I don't answer questions.
No questions, officer.
The Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution. It's a crucial topic that impacts every citizen's right to privacy. Now in this video I'm going to show you it's vital to understand the context. Being a public photographer, I have some expensive equipment. I want to protect my equipment. One of the pieces of equipment I usually take on me is my tripod. I pay good money for this tripod, and when it's not in use, but I want to keep it with me, I store it in a case. And I do take it with me in a case, usually when I'm going to capture video of a certain area or take still shots or B-roll footage of an area. And yes, just like if a fisherman has a nice rod and reel combo, you can buy cases to protect your rod and reel combos. A case is no different than a briefcase, a purse, a backpack. If you can't see what's in the case and nobody has told you specifically what they saw put in the case could have anything in it.
Videos uploaded by the Junkyard News are helped in part by viewers just like you. You can show your support for this channel by clicking the thumbs up, sharing our videos, or hitting that all-important support button on our channel page. Don't want to miss a video or a story? Make sure to check us out and like us on Facebook at The Junkyard News.
Going for a walk.
One of those open carry guys? Is that what the story is?
I don't answer questions, man.
No?
No.
You got a rifle in there?
I don't answer questions, man.
Is it loaded?
I don't answer questions.
No questions.
I don't answer questions.
No questions, officer.
Officer attempted to stop me and talk to me and question me.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, how about you? Hang on a second.
Am I being detained?
I am detaining you.
Under what suspicion of what crime?
Stop.
I wonder what
This
suspicion.
is not a question. First, I'm telling you are being detained. We can discuss the legalities of it in a moment.
Fine.
But I want you to know you're being detained.
As long as I'm not free to go, I will not resist that.
And that's my whole concern, is to make sure you're safe and the public's safe, because obviously everybody thinks you're carrying a loaded rifle. If this is a test,
their assumption
has
no bearing on me, so.
Okay, but it has a bearing on me.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why I'm stopping to make sure that you're not going to go start shooting people.
Can you identify yourself to me?
George Ramos.
Do you have a shield number or an employee number or anything?
Employee number is 26834.
I appreciate that, sir.
Okay.
What can I do for you today?
Want to make sure you're safe and not out to hurt anybody. That's it.
Just going for a walk, man. Gathering content for a story. I'm an independent journalist.
And that's what I figured.
Uh-huh.
Okay? But at the same time, I got a responsibility to make sure people aren't freaking out that you're walking down the road with a loaded rifle.
I can't be concerned with how people react to stupid things. So
you don't have to worry about it. I have to worry about the concerns of the public.
As long as you follow the law, I have no problem with it.
I totally understand. I have no problem with you walking around with a rifle. My concern.
Don't answer questions.
That's fine. My concern is other people's reactions, making sure that they don't, like this guy just said, you got a loaded rifle? They freak out and do something.
Assumptions, you know?
Again, but I want to make sure they don't hurt you either.
Yeah.
That you're a bad guy.
I can appreciate that.
That's my concern, okay? So, I'm assuming if there's anything in there, it's not dangerous to the public?
I don't answer questions, sir.
I'm really trying to just let this thing work out.
I know.
As opposed to.
I know, but if I'm going to uphold one of my rights, I'm going to uphold all my rights.
Okay.
And I do not consent to this detainment. Okay. I do not consent to questioning, and I will not answer any questions. Am I free to leave?
Not yet.
Okay. You realize that any unconsented search of my person or property would be a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights.
Unless I have reasonable suspicion to believe that
articulable, reasonable suspicion of a crime.
Correct.
Unless somebody has called you and told you that they actually saw a dangerous item There is no reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime.
Is it reasonable for me to assume that since you're walking down the street carrying a rifle?
A case which could have anything in it.
And that's what I just said. A rifle case.
It could be no different than a
weighted.
briefcase, no different than a briefcase, a backpack, or anything. So just because it looks like something doesn't mean that's what's in it.
Absolutely. I agree.
We can agree on that.
Agree.
Okay.
But
Did anybody call you or concerned that
Nope,
they
I'm
actually...
the first person I was this guy right here.
okay.
Asking you down on another stop on the street. Search
Oh.
for concern.
Oh, so they have a concern. Well, they have nothing to worry about. I'm just going for a walk. Well, we're in America, right?
Yes, we are.
Land of the free, home of the brave.
Absolutely.
We all swore an oath. To uphold the Constitution of the United States. If tyranny and oppression come to this land, it'll be in the guise of fighting a foreign enemy. What's that tell you right there?
Understandable.
I hold that very dear, and I think it's very true.
Okay.
Because of fear of some outside force or influence
Or even inside force.
or inside force influence is not a reason to curtail the rights of any individual, in my opinion. And other than that, that's the last statement I'm going to make. Am I free to go?
No, you are not free to go yet.
Okay. I do not consent to any searches or seizures of my property.
I am first going to try to identify who you are.
Am I in violation of a crime?
You are being detained at this time.
Under what reasonable, articulable suspicion of what crime?
My reasonable reason for stopping you right now is the belief that in your rifle case is a rifle.
And what gave you that suspicion?
Because it's a rifle case, and if it
It's
looks
just
like
a case.
it's probably a duck. If
That
it's not a duck,
your hunch,
we'll figure it
the
out.
Supreme Court and the courts
not
have
a
ruled that your hunch,
It's not a hunch.
it is a hunch.
It is reasonable to believe that someone walking down the street with a rifle case that is weighted has a rifle in it. That is reasonable. It's not.
I don't
probable
agree with
cause,
that. I don't
but
agree
it
with
is
that.
Reasonable.
So you've detained me.
Yes, I already explained that to you.
I don't believe it's a lawful detainment.
Okay, and that would be something that would be discussed further on down the road.
Understood.
Right now, I'm trying to minimize this detention and let you get on your way because I have no desire.
Well, I do not consent to any searches or seizures of my property, once again, which
you've already
includes
explained that.
my person's papers and effects.
However, because I have detained you in a manner I believe is lawful, I have a right to identify you. So I'm asking you for your either identification or your name and birthday so we can verify who you are.
Well, I can't consent.
It wasn't a question of consent.
I can't consent.
I'm telling you I believe this is a lawful detention, and I am telling you that I'm asking for that.
Well, if it goes anything, if my rights, if I feel my rights get violated, then it'll have to work itself out in the courts, and then it could flip the bill for the city of Laguna Beach to be paid a hefty amount.
That is possible.
Because this type of activity is protected. There's already been case law on it, and the Supreme Court has already ruled. I am not going to cite. I don't answer questions.
Okay.
But I know,
Identify
I've
yourself.
read, I will not. I refuse to identify myself under this, in my opinion, unlawful detention.
Okay. So if we disagree on the detention, whether it's lawful or not,
I have to
believe
go.
it's lawful, then the next step for me would be to take you into custody to identify you. Because if it's a lawful detention, you do have to identify yourself. If you want to push it to that limit, that's up to you. I don't want to. But I have
Why
to
do I need to, why do I need to be identified?
Because I have lawfully detained you, and I now have a right to identify who it is that I'm working with.
But what?
Who I'm talking to, I should say.
But from one human being to the other, have I done anything wrong?
Right now, I'm stopping you on a suspicion that you're carrying a rifle, whether loaded or not, I do not know, and I'm not going to check it right now because that's your right. Not something I have a real right to do at this moment, but I do have a right to identify who I'm talking to find out whether you're a felon, whether you're prohibited from carrying a weapon.
Being a felon is not a default status in this country. The courts have ruled against that already.
You're a convicted felon. You may not possess a firearm in
Unless you
California.
know I'm a felon already and have pre-knowledge of that, that would be the exception to that. But being a felon is not a default status.
Well, being a felon would make you in violation. Whether or not I know you are a felon is
So you can't use that.
whether I arrest you or not.
But that is not cause to...
I do have a right to identify.
What would be the point, though?
To determine whether or not you are, one, legal to carry a loaded weapon or a rifle in any form. Actually,
Would it help if I told you that I am unarmed?
Well, that would help, yes. And I have a...
Could I be free to be on my way if I was to admit to being unarmed?
Well, just admitting to it would be, let's say you were a felon and you told me you didn't have a gun. I would be remiss in my duties to go, that's fine, when you're carrying a rifle case. Now, if I identify you and you're not a felon, you are legal to carry a firearm. I'm hoping it does not go there. I do not want to escalate this. I want to do my job, and
I tell you what,
good person. Let's
in
go
my
away.
in my right back pocket is my wallet with my identification.
Okay.
I will not consent. I will not give it to you. But if you feel the need to identify me that strongly, you know where my ID is. But I will not voluntarily give it to you, and I will not resist you retrieving that.
I do not need your ID. I need your name and your birthday. You can tell it to me.
My
I have
ID,
no desire to go into your personal
My
papers
ID
if you don't want me to.
my ID, and all the information that you think you are entitled to
Okay.
is in my back right pocket.
But at the same time, you're telling me not to take it.
I don't consent. But if you feel you have the right to ID me, that is where my ID is.
I do have the right to ID you. I don't necessarily have the right to take your property. That's what you're telling me to do and not to do.
I am informing you of where identification is on my person.
So if I ask you your name, what is your name, sir?
I invoke and refuse to waive my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
Well, your Fifth Amendment right is for self-incrimination.
I invoke and refuse to waive my Fifth Amendment right to remain
Is
silent.
telling me your name going to incriminate you in a crime?
I invoke and refuse to waive my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
So you're telling me your ID is in the back pocket?
I invoke and refuse to waive my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Would you like me to set this case down?
If you'd like, that's actually, if you do, I don't want you to stay in the driveway. I want to go over there by the wall so we're not blocking their driveway. That helped a lot. And I appreciate that. No weapons on you then?
I am unarmed.
Since you have convinced me you don't have a loaded firearm in there, since it fell to the ground like a piece of cotton, you may go on your way, sir.
I am no longer being detained.
You are no longer being detained.
Thank you, sir. You have a very nice day.
You too. Thank you very much for this lesson.
Loaded.
I don't answer questions.
No questions.
I don't answer questions.
No questions, officer.